Gender identity is a person's private sense and subjective experience of their own gender. This is generally described as one's private sense of being a man or a woman, consisting primarily of the acceptance of membership into a category of people, male, male or female. All societies have a set of gender categories that can serve as the basis of the formation of a social identity in relation to other members of society. In most societies, there is a basic diversion between gender attributes assigned to males and females. In all societies, however, some individuals do not identify with some or all of the aspects of a gender that are assigned to their biological sex. Many people consider themselves to be cisgender, that is, belonging to either the man or woman gender, corresponding to their assigned sex of male or female. Before the 20th century, a person's sex would be determined entirely by the appearance of the genitalia, but as chromosomes and genes came to be understood, these were then used to help determine sex. Those defined as women by sex have genitalia that are considered female, as well as two X chromosomes. Those viewed as men by sex are seen as having male genitalia, one X and one Y chromosome. However, some individuals have a combination of these chromosomes, hormones, and genitalia that do not follow the traditional definitions of men and women. In addition, genitalia vary greatly, or individuals may have more than one type of genitalia. Also, other bodily attributes related to a person's sex may or may not coincide with the social category, as men or women. For example, a person with female genitalia as well as a deep voice and facial hair may have difficulty determining which gender they identify with. A survey of the research literature from 1955 to 2000 suggests that as many as 1 in every 100 individuals may have some intersex characteristics. In 1905, Sigmund Freud presented his theory of psychosexual development in 3 essays on the theory of sexuality. Freud gave evidence to the fact that in the pregenital phase, children did not distinguish between genders or sexes. They assume both parents have the same genitalia and the same reproductive powers. On this basis, he inferred that bisexuality is the original sexual orientation and that heterosexuality is resultant of repression during the phallic stage, at which point gender identity is ascertainable. According to Freud, during this stage, children develop an Oedipus complex, where they have sexual fantasies for their parent ascribed the opposite gender and hatred for their parent ascribed the same gender. This hatred transforms into unconscious transference and conscious identification with a hatred parent who both exemplifies a model to appease sexual impulses and threatens to castrate the child's powers to appease sexual impulses. In 1913, Carl Jung proposed the Electrica complex, as he both believed that bisexuality did not lie at the origin of psycho life and that Freud did not give adequate description to the female child. This proposal, however, was rejected by Freud. The 21st century's generation is the first generation that to varying degrees accepts boys openly playing with and dressing in things normally considered to be for girls. More children are allowed to be in the middle space between traditional boyhood and traditional girlhood, with activities and toys from all across the gender spectrum. Gender identity and related topics are constantly debated within politics. Recently, it was decided under the Affordable Care Act that health insurance exchanges will have the ability to collect demographics regarding gender identity and sexual identity within the affected populations. The questions will be optional, but will help policymakers better recognize the needs of the LGBT community and prove that the goal is to provide insurance for everyone. The questions are legal, and federal policies promise that nobody will be discriminated against. The extent to which gender identity is determined by environmental factors versus biological factors is an ongoing debate in psychology, known as nature versus nurture. While gender roles and sex differences are both largely recognized as influential in behavior, It is often difficult to determine the separate impacts of socialization on genetic variables. Although there may be discrepancies as to which factors play the most important role, there is extensive agreement that a combination of many different views and perspectives are needed for a complete understanding of gender development.